Welcome to Learning Anatomy with Dr. Bakare. In this lecture, we'll be looking at the Guyon's Canal that can also be referred to as the ulnar canal. And it can be referred to as the ulnar canal because it allows for the passage of the ulnar vessels and also the ulnar nerve. Now, let's try and use this image by the side to describe where this canal is located. This is the anterior view or region of the hand. And if you try to place this image in its correct anatomical position, this is the medial side, and on this other side is the lateral side. So it is around the medial side of the wrist that we have the creation of the Guyon's canal that we say can also be referred to as the ulnar canal. And this is what is carved out here in white. Now let's go through this lecture where we'll be describing in details the Guyon's canal and also including some other important features that you should know as students of anatomy. The Guyon's canal is an anatomical fibro-osseous canal, and this is because it is bounded by the fibrous connective tissue and also bone, which of course we'll be highlighting as we go through with this lecture. It is seen to be specifically positioned around the volar or the anterior surface of the flexor retinaculum, of course around the ulnar side. We know that the ulna is positioned medially, so it is seen to be created around the medial side of the wrist. It is also seen to extend proximally from the pisiform and distally to the hook of hamate. This canal is seen to be approximately about 4 centimeters in length. We try to use this image by the side to describe this. This is where we say we have the anterior part or anterior aspect of the hand. We already placed this image in its correct anatomical position. This is where we have the pisiform here, carried in red. Is the most medially placed bone around the proximal row of the carpal bones. Don't forget that the carpal bones in totality is arranged in 2 rows. We have the proximal row and we have the distal row. So around the medial edge here is where we have the pisiform. Then if you go more distally around the medial edge still, we have the hamate. This region that is specifically arrowed there at this point is the hook of hamate. And it is along these 2 points that you have the extensions of the Guyon's canal or the ulnar canal. Don't also forget that we have the flexor retinaculum, and this is what is highlighted here in black. I've put up a lecture on the flexor retinaculum. If you've not checked up that lecture, please kindly go and do so. In that lecture, we stated that the flexor retinaculum is a fibrous sheet that runs horizontally, and it is seen to be tapered or connected to the pisiform and also the hook of hamate around the medial side, which of course is then directed laterally. On the lateral side, the flexor retinaculum is connected to the scaphoid and also the trapezium. The scaphoid is the most laterally placed bone in the proximal row of the carpal bones, while the trapezium is also the most laterally placed bone of the distal row of the carpal bone. So you see that these 2 bones are placed around the lateral edge here, the carpal region. We already also described this in details in our previous lecture on the flexor retinaculum. So this is how you have the flexor retinaculum highlighted here in black, running to and fro these 2 points. Then if you go more superficially to the flexor retinaculum, it's where you then have the creation of the Guyon's canal. This canal is seen to be positioned around the medial side, and of course superficially placed to the flexor retinaculum. So now let's use this slide to describe how the Guyon's canal or the ulnar canal is created. The Guyon's canal is created as a result of the medial superficial slip or extension of the flexor retinaculum. If you try to use this image by the side to illustrate this, this is where we have the creation of the carpal tunnel. We know that the carpal tunnel is a curvature that is created by the carpal bones, and this is what is represented here in blue. The carpal tunnel is further roofed or covered by the flexor retinaculum, and this is what is highlighted here in dotted black. Don't also forget that within the carpal tunnel, we have a number of structures, and we've tried to represent those structures here within the carpal tunnel. So before we describe the formation of the Guyon's canal, let's first place this arrangement in its correct anatomical position. This is where we have the medial side, and on this other side is the lateral side. We say that on the medial side, we have a medial superficial slip that extends from the flexor retinaculum. And this is what is highlighted here on this other side. Don't forget that this slip is superficially placed, and this is why it is seen to be positioned above the flexor retinaculum. This slip is seen to extend from the pisiform. This is what is harrowed there at this point, which of course is positioned proximally, and of course is seen to be aligning with the medial side of this creation. While if you go more distally, we have the hook of hamate that is harrowed here in blue. And of course, it is creating a lateral alignment for this canal. So you see that the Guyon's canal extends from the pisiform down to the hook of hamate, creating the medial and the lateral borders for this canal. So this is where we have the creation of the Guyon's canal harrowed at this point. We say that this canal can also be referred to as the ulnar canal, and this is because of the fact that it creates the passageway for the ulnar vessels and also the ulnar nerve. And this is what we have here around this point. So you see that around the medial side is where we have the creation of the Guyon's canal. It is also important for us to add that on the lateral side also, we have another extension created, but this extension seems to be directed deep to the flexor retinaculum. And this is what is harrowed here at this point. This is also created to allow for the passage of the tendon of the flexor carpa radialis. Don't forget that the flexor carpa radialis is seen to run along the alignment of the radius, which of course is directed laterally. So the tendon of this muscle is seen to pass through the space that is created by the lateral deep slip or extension from the flexor retinaculum. So going back to the creation of the Guyon's canal, the palmar carpal ligament and also the palmaris brevis are seen to be creating the roof over the Guyon's canal. If you go back to this arrangement, this is where we have the alignment of the palmar carpal ligament. I'll put up a lecture on the palmar carpal ligament. If you've not checked up that lecture, please kindly go and do so to keep yourself updated. In that lecture, we stated that the palmar carpal ligament is positioned proximally to the flexor retinaculum. It is not only seen to be positioned proximally to it, it is also seen to be placed superficially. And this is what is shown here in this image. So along the part of the palmar carpal ligament, it is seen to be creating a roof over the Guyon's canal. We also have fibers from the palmaris brevis. The palmaris brevis, we know that it is one of the muscles located in the medial side of the hand. And at this point, it is also seen to be creating the distal part of the roof of the Guyon's canal. And this is because it is located around the hand region. If you go back to this image, this is where we have the flexor retinaculum here highlighted in dotted black. Don't forget that the flexor retinaculum itself is what creates a superficial extension in the quest of forming the Guyon's canal. And along this part, it is seen to be forming the floor of this canal. We also have the pisohamate ligament that runs from the pisiform to the hamate. And along the path that this ligament runs, also it is helping to reinforce the floor of the Guyon's canal. Let's try and use this upper image for further illustration. This is where we have the flexor retinaculum highlighted in black. And on the medial side, we have a superficial extension of the flexor retinaculum. And this is what creates the Guyon's canal. More superficially and proximally to the flexor retinaculum is where we have the palmar carpal ligament. And this is what is highlighted here in red. So at this point, you see that the palmar carpal ligament is creating the roof over the Guyon's canal, while the flexor retinaculum that is highlighted here in black is creating the floor for this canal. On the medial side, the Guyon's canal is seen to be bordered by the pisiform, the tendon of the flexor carpa ulnaris, proximally, and also the abductor digiti minimi around the distal side. If you go back to this upper image, this is where we have the medial side, and deep to this space is where we have the pisiform. We also have the tendon of the flexor carpa ulnaris. Don't forget that the flexor carpa ulnaris is one of the superficially placed muscles around the anterior compartment of the forearm. We already also described this muscle in our previous lecture on the anterior muscles of the forearm. If you've not checked up that lecture, please kindly go and do so. And it is ulnaris because it runs along the path of the ulna, which is medially placed. So the tendon of this muscle is also seen to be forming the medial border of the Guyon's canal, but around the proximal region. While distally, it is seen to be bordered by the abductor digiti minimi, which of course is one of the muscles seen in the medial side of the hand region. And this is where it is creating the medial border of the Guyon's canal around the distal part. While if you go more laterally, we have the hook of hamate and also the flexor retinaculum itself. If we use this lower image, this is where we have the pisiform harrowed in red, and this is where we have the hook of hamate harrowed in blue. So you see that the Guyon's canal extends from the pisiform that is positioned proximally to the hook of hamate that is positioned distally. You would see that the hook of hamate is directed more laterally, even still within the medial side. And this is where it is creating the lateral border for the Guyon's canal. If you go back to this upper image, this is where we have the lateral border that is harrowed in green. Don't forget that deep to this region is where we have the hook of hamate, where the flexor retinaculum itself is also seen to contribute to the formation of the lateral border of the Guyon's canal. Now let's look at the contents of the Guyon's canal, which of course should come easy. Contents of the carpal tunnel are different from the contents of the Guyon's canal. If you go back to this image, this is where we have the carpal tunnel, and within the carpal tunnel, we have a total of 10 structures passing through it. We have 9 tendons from the flexor muscles in the anterior compartment of the forearm, and we have the median nerve. And this is what is shown here in this image. While if you go to the Guyon's canal that is harrowed here at this point, we have the ulnar vessels and also the ulnar nerve. And this is what is shown here in this image. So it is important that we state here that in case we come across this during our examination, that the content of the Guyon's canal is different from the content of the carpal tunnel, even though these two structures are closely related. Now, let's quickly look at the zones of the Guyon's canal. Within the Guyon's canal, we have the creation of 3 zones, and these zones are created based on the bifurcation of the ulnar nerve. Don't forget that the ulnar nerve is seen to pass through the Guyon's canal. So there are specific points where the bifurcation of this nerve occur, and this is used to state the different zones. This is where we have the Guyon's canal, and this is where we have the ulnar nerve, of course, bifurcating or splitting into the superficial and also the deep branches. So we have the zone 1, which is the proximal zone, and this is at the point before the splitting or bifurcation of the ulnar nerve. And this region is seen to be containing both the sensory and also the motor components. And this is what is carved out here at this proximal end. Well, if you go more inferiorly around the distal part, we have the zone 2 and also the zone 3, made up of the deep and also the superficial component. And this is where we have the zone 2 also carved out at this deep distal region. And this region specifically is seen to provide motor innervations for the intrinsic muscles of the hand. While if you go more superficially, still around the distal region, we have the zone 3. And this is basically seen to provide sensory innervations for the little and also the ring fingers. And this is what is also carved out here in dotted blue. So you see that the different zones are created based on the bifurcation of the ulnar nerve. Now let's quickly look at clinical anatomy. We have the Guyon's canal syndrome or the ulnar tunnel syndrome. This is basically the damage of the ulnar nerve within the Guyon's canal. And this can lead to hand numbness, pain, and also weakness. If you go back to this lower image, this is where we have the Guyon's canal. This is where we have the ulnar nerve here, harrowed in black. When damaged, can result into the Guyon's canal syndrome or the ulnar tunnel syndrome. It is also important that we highlight that the palmar carpal ligaments that can also be referred to as the anterior carpal ligament may be incised to relieve pressure during surgical intervention. If you go back to this lower image, this is where we have the palmar carpal ligament highlighted in red. We already highlighted that the palmar carpal ligament is what creates a roof over the Guyon's canal. And because of its alignment in creating the roof over this structure, it may be incised to relieve pressure within it. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you find this useful. Bye.